Welcome aboard, everybody. My name is Doobyis. This is an offshoot of my mix show. My weekly mix show plays on the FM dial on CKXU. It's also a podcast over at mixcloud.com/Doobyis. It's called After the Smoke is Clear. And I play independent hip hop from across the country every week. Try to play new music for people as it comes out. Keep it as current as possible. And for the third season, I've decided that I needed to start talking to artists, starting to try to build some relationships and learn more about the scene across the country, the various local scenes, because I feel like there's a lot of support on each individual scene, but maybe it's not as interconnected as it could be. And people from, Saskatchewan have never heard of people from BC, and people from Toronto don't know about the people doing it in Calgary, or every city has its own scene. But I feel like if we could get some more national support going for each other, that would be the place. So I started doing these interviews. I call them Fly in Formation, and today I'm here with Eddy Jones, who is a artist based out of Toronto. And he's been putting out a lot of singles lately. I've played a lot of his music on ATSIC over the last 2-3 years now, I guess. And we've talked a bit, but never actually got a chance to, go on camera or actually meet each other in person, since he's out in Toronto and I'm based out of Lethbridge here in Alberta. But Eddy, it's a pleasure to have you on, man. You've got new work coming up with B1 the Architect. I know we got to get to talking about that, but first off, man, just welcome aboard. Maybe tell the people who you are, what you do.
Thank you so much for having me on, man. Like you said, my name's Eddy Jones. I'm out of Toronto, and just here to make music, man. That's it. That's all.
Hell yeah.
And you're always playing my music, our music, B1 and I, and artists like us that need people like you, because it's all a community, right? So you need us, we need you, it's all
exactly, man. It's all reciprocal, right? And I think people kind of get away from that a little bit in this day and age, with thinking that maybe there is no spot for DJs as much to be breaking new music and exposing new people to new music. I think that aspect of DJing kind of gets overlooked a lot. I know, and that there are shows across the map too doing it, but I think a lot of the time, it's tough to find new music in a way that isn't just kind of being randomly presented by an algorithm. So it's important that we do the word of mouth thing and let each other know about artists that we actually enjoy listening to or whatever. And man, I mean, props. You make good music. I really do enjoy listening to your stuff. There's been a string of singles. You did a project. What was that? 2 years ago? Your first solo one there?
That was actually. It was only been a year. It's gonna be a year on August 15th.
Okay.
Seems like, right?
I guess maybe you had singles out before the entire project came out, so I feel like it was happening maybe in the first season of ATSIC, and now I'm on season 3. So, yeah, man.
Correct.
But yeah, man, it's been a lot of good output. You've been doing stuff with B1 a lot, right? Even on that first album that was just an Eddy Jones album, that was what was it, Family First? So the name of that?
Family First, yeah.
Family exactly, First. Yeah, word. So people should check that out too. I know, that's not what we're here promoting or talking about today or whatever, but definitely a lot of good work on there. And that was what kind of got me listening to you guys in the first place. I'd seen B1's name around too, from some of his stuff with Lunchroom Poets and kind of that crew. But yeah, man, your newest single there, Been Through Hell, I relate a lot to that one, especially the stuff that B1's talking about. He's a rapper who really leans into rapping about rap a lot. I feel like, and I saw even on his promo today on his IG page, he said, "Here, listen to my new single, my new depressing rap song," or something like that. Was how he worded it. My depressing rap. Listen to this, and I kind of had a chuckle at that or whatever. But to me, that's real shit, man. You gotta have music that fills that niche too, because we can't pretend that life doesn't have that in it, right? So and
it's something that everybody goes through, you know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of people, especially these days, make music for people to like their music. So they do what's popular or what, they think people are going to like.
Right.
We never like that. We always only talk about what we really want to talk about. We don't, it sounds like bad, but we don't really care if, you know what I mean, you can relate to it or not, because we're going to do something eventually that's going to relate to you, because we don't talk about the same thing all the time. You know what I mean? So like,
that's funny, man. I asked the different artist about like whether it was important to have people relate to his music, and he looked at me like I was crazy, but I know that there are artists like you out there who are just doing it for the artistic release, or the getting your voice out, whatever, right? Is it therapy to a certain level? Like a lot of people have told me, they feel like it's a form of therapy. They're writing.
Honestly, I've only been rapping for close to 4 years. So my first like year and a half of rapping was just, trying different things, you know what I mean? Finding my own voice, literally.
Yeah.
And I used to, do a rap voice when I first started, and, I would go higher and stuff like that. So it was hard for me to be completely honest. So it wasn't therapeutic until recently, until I started writing Family First. That's when it started becoming like, the more I wrote, it's like going to a gym, right? Where the more you work out, the easier it becomes to work out.
Hell yeah.
So that's my writing became. At the first, I struggled. It took me forever to write a verse. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause I was a perfectionist in my mind.
Yeah.
I would work the verse over and over again, but then it became where I could just sit down and it would just pour out of me. And that's when it started becoming therapeutic, and it started becoming almost like, spiritual almost, you know what I mean? Because it's like, when you can make yourself get goosebumps or cry, like the first time I had to make myself cry, was like, this is where I didn't even think about getting into, you know what I mean? And it's become like that, and it's been
there's something deep there, there's a connection with music that people can make, and I think it translates across to the listener. And it's important what you said earlier about like not making music that you're trying to make for listeners. Another question I've asked people is like, who is the music you make for? Because I think there's like a whole wide variety of ways that a guy can answer that. So yeah, I just like to leave it open-ended. Who's it for, man?
My great-grandchildren.
Hey, I like
my
that.
My great-grandchildren.
Yeah.
Because, I feel like imagine if your great-grandpa or your grandpa rapped or made music, would you not to that album like all the time?
Hell
and you
yeah.
would get where you come from, or where your grandpa came from, or your roots, and I wish I could, like, I look at old pictures and I feel like we're more connected to my family. So imagine if, like, maybe my kids won't like it because it's weird for your dad, but you know what I mean? Like, somebody, because
yeah,
kind of out us, that's what KRS-One told me to my face. Our music will outlive you. And that painted and like, this is more than just right now, more than likes and clicks and is it hot? No, somebody, it might not get thousands of millions of likes, but somebody one day is listening to that song and be actually listening to what I'm saying and learning something, hopefully. You know what I mean? So that.
Hell yeah, man. I love that you quote KRS-One, because I'm jealous you got to have KRS-One say that to your face. I got to read that from KRS-One's book, The Gospel of Hip Hop or whatever, where he talks about that concept, right? And about how anything that we do now and record is here, and it's going to echo throughout history. There's some record.
He said, made me look at things like, what? Because before it was just like fun. Before it was just like, cool, we're making music and it's dope.
Yeah.
Sick. And then after that, it was like, oh my God, everything that I say is going to be there forever.
Yeah.
So it's like.
Did you come up like freestyling? Because I know a lot of guys who are like cipher beasts who can freestyle for days and are lyrically amazing in freestyles, and they just don't really put as much weight onto having studio content, even because they're really tied into this like feeling of like improvisation and creativity on the spot like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever freestyle, or how's your relationship with freestyling?
I rapped when I was like young, like 13, 14, 15. And back then it was freestyle.
Yeah.
But the producer, I started making beats and becoming like, having my own artist. And I gave up rapping for literally 15 years. And all that time, I recorded other artists, promoted other artists, I had my own record label,
right?
All that. Everything else but rap. I worked every aspect of from promoting to all this. And at the end of it, when everybody went their own separate way and I was left holding the ball, I was like, all right, I had this, what I would do, it's kind of how I do now, is I would collect a bunch of beats from producers and myself, and I would send it out to artists. So at the last one that I was going to make, I had all these beats, and I was like, but none of the artists were coming around. So those are the beats that I started writing to. And I was just like.
So what were these projects called? Is it anything you want to shine light on now? Like, can people find this stuff online, or like, what was the label called even? Who are you working with?
So I'm still putting out music on the label is called Respect Over Money.
Okay.
Respect Records is what I have always represented since I came out forever ago. Like I said, as a producer, but I still rep that because it's me. Yeah. No one ever put me on. No one ever, so it was all me. The mixtapes that are out that you can still find are called the H Block mixtapes. Went from just music to more like an entertainment side. We used to put a lot of shows. Like that's how I got to meet KRS-One. We did a bunch of other shows, EPMD, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that became less about the music and more about that side of it. And that's what sucked all the fun out of it, because it didn't become about, cool, let's go into a studio and make music. It was more about how many people can we get here?
Selling
how many
tickets and making,
I hated hugging people. Hey, come to my show, come out to my show. And people were like, I already been to 20 of your shows, man. Like,
yeah, man. That's always been my least favorite part of trying to be an MC, was trying to get people to listen to it. And at some point I kind of just gave up on trying to get people to listen to it, because it doesn't really matter to me artistically at whether, I guess that is that thing about, like, it, to me, it doesn't matter whether people are relating or connecting really with the music. I'm going to put that music there and it's going to be there. And hopefully somebody finds it that can relate.
Somebody will,
me.
Man.
I don't think I'm that fucking weird.
Somebody will connect. We're not, everybody feels like you're in your own world, but we all go to the just at different times in different ways.
Yeah.
So someone out there is going to listen to, and let's say you get, oh, that's my song. Oh, that's my song. I love that song. Why? Because you can connect to that song. You might hate all my other 20, 30 songs that I put out, but that one song, and that's what I get. Because I put out so much different type of music, I get different types of like, oh no, this one is my favorite, but that one I hate. And then the next person will tell me the other thing.
Word.
They go opposites, you know what I mean? So it's like, who am I going to cater to? Myself, and hopefully you guys like it.
Yeah, word. So you talking about different types of music. Your upcoming album with B1 is called Underground Soul, right?
Sure.
Okay, so I hear it and I get it, but I think some people might think, okay, neither of you guys are singers. How are they calling this a soul album? Or how is this soul music? Because, traditionally soul music, we're talking about Marvin Gaye and, guys who are singing, right? So I guess maybe talk a little bit about what it looks like to you to bring that element of soul into hip hop music for this next project. Or am I misinterpreting?
I feel like myself, like most rappers, only rap because we can't sing.
Yeah.
I feel like if you could sing, you would sing, right? But am I wrong?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I mean, apart from a hook here or there or whatever, right? And to me, it's always been like my favorite shit when a rapper who has no business singing is going to sing a hook anyways. Sometimes that can be good. but
we're not singers. Actually, the video that we did yesterday, B1 does sing the hook on that. But we have a lot of features, and more than just the singing aspect of it, it's just the vibe of it. It's just the whole instruments. It's just, soul music. It's a feeling that you get. You know what I mean? Like, talk about, how you construct it, but when you listen to it, just like most music, it's just certain vibe, and you know when it is. And that's what we were going with this album.
I was I was listening to Why the other day, the single that's off of this album as well, right? Please Don't Ask Me Why, that track.
Oh, the recipe, yep.
So yeah, the recipe. That's the title of it, right? Okay, sorry about that. We were listening to that the other day on the work site, and one of the guys who was listening says, "This sounds like a big production. This sounds like a full sounds like they had a whole studio full of people singing or whatever on this." And I was like, "Yeah, man, it does sound like a great sound quality, like great production level." So. You were talking about how you used to record for other artists. Do you do all your own recording still? Is that the gig? You an engineer?
I'm not an engineer anymore. I record myself only because it allows me to do as many takes as I can.
Hey, I love that, man.
when I first started rapping, I would try to go to other studios because I was trying to learn, basically, because it's, even though you can record other people a million times, but when you're behind the mic, it's completely different. Once you're an artist and once you have your own persona or whatever, it's completely different. And I didn't want to produce myself. I didn't want to be like, oh, and then just be doing it on my own and then sending out to the world. Hip hop to me has always been a, community thing. Yeah. So I didn't want to do that. So I started going to the studios, but what I found was that a lot of times you're just not feeling it. You can't feel the vibes, like it comes to you. Sometimes it just doesn't,
I know exactly what you mean, man. Sometimes, and the other thing is I always feel like I'm wasting somebody's time if I want to be as perfectionist as I want to be alone, when I'm recording myself. Yeah.
And I'm just not feeling it. And it's like, it's not working.
Yeah.
So what I do is record myself and I send it to B1. B1's an engineer. That's what he does for a living.
Yeah. He's got a studio, right?
He's got a studio. He does the videos, editing.
Do you know the name of his studio? Just while we're talking about him, we might as well put a plug there for people in Toronto who need.
It's like a name for his studio. I think he just, the B1, the architect. Just,
okay. Okay, cool.
Everything. Yeah,
just wanted to make sure, because that's another reason for doing this show, is to try to have upcoming artists be able to find different producers, be able to find different studios to work at. Because like you said, it is about building a community, right? And the vibe sometimes is good, sometimes it's bad, whatever. But sometimes you also make those connections that are going to help you out throughout your music career. In ways other than making music, probably as a promoter, you would have found that too. Just you getting to meet a bunch of different artists is wildly beneficial, right?
Because I did a radio interview and the DJ was putting together a show and he said, oh, you should come out. So I was like, oh, cool. I'll make it out. I went out there by myself, nobody, I was having a drink by myself. And then B1 happened to be performing that night. Yeah. So he was there by himself. Hey, how's it going? Hey, we should do something. I had heard of him the same way from you, like Lunchroom Poets and all that. He did a couple contests that he won and all that.
Right.
And I was like, oh, we did one song, 2 songs, 3 songs. Hey, we should do an EP. We released an EP in 2019, 2020, whatever it was. Let's keep it going. And then I was like, I need to do my album. He did my whole album. He mixed it, everything like that.
Yeah.
And just haven't stopped working, So like you said, you never know who you're going to meet, right? So
exactly. And those connections, like I tell everybody, other artists I'm talking to and stuff, I've worked recording a lot of different people too. And it's like, guys think that it's about making the right song and that's how you're going to blow up, right? Like if we can just get this song just right, we're going to blow up with it, right? We got to make that one hit to blow up. And it's like, man, you got to be out shaking hands. You got to be, it's a long road.
You got to sell yourself. You're out there supporting yourself. You're shaking hands, kissing babies, all of that, and that's what a lot of people don't want to do. And that's why they go nowhere. Well, that's why they're good in their own city and that's it. And if you go to their city, it's like, oh, they're super famous, but you go to the next town and nobody's ever heard of them.
Yeah, man. So like we'd talked a bit and you hadn't mentioned that you used to have a label and do all the promo stuff or whatever, but that totally checks out to me because just the way you've talked and just from what I see, the way you handle your social media output and just the image, kind of the branding, I guess there's an awareness of branding that isn't there with some artists and that's fine for some artists or whatever too. But I guess maybe like how do you approach trying to get your music out to people in 2022 where it's like social media is so big? Like, are you on TikTok? Do you do TikTok?
TikTok. I'm too old for TikTok. Honestly, I suck at promoting. I do. Like I said, I'm not the, door-to-door salesman. Here, listen, because that's how you have to be. And I'm not like that. My approach these days is DJs. I've been trying to hit up DJs. I'm, and not only Canada, not only North America. I'm trying to get my all over the world. I just got my music played in France a couple times in the last week.
So
the DJ I got hooked up with do a bunch of different radio shows. So that's because it's going back to that. Because you get lost in the sauce. You go on Spotify and there's millions of songs. How do you know what to listen to?
Yeah.
But if you listen to it and it's like, oh, that's dope, and then that's where Shazam and all that stuff works. I think that that's where I'm going with it.
I mean, the internet's beautiful in that it lets us access that global market, right? What percentage would you say you put into trying to internet market to the entire world compared to build relationships on the scene in Toronto, or know people who are going to get you on shows in Toronto and that type of thing. Like, I feel like there's got to be a split that you can't go all the way in and not know anybody in your own local scene, right? So I think it's a mix, and I hear different things from different artists kind of asking, but like, how involved locally in the scene are you? Are you out at the hip hop nights, or?
That's where I got my situation is different than a lot of people, because since I was a producer and, you know, doing all that promoting stuff for so long, I built a lot of relations. If you listen to most of my songs are all features, and I got all those features from my first 2 songs because people already knew me.
Yeah.
So just our relationship, they're like, yeah, if you do anything, let me know. You know what I mean? And so that's, I of course, there's more that I do, but I always try to stay connected with everyone with what I'm not afraid to reach out. You know, a lot of people, they feel weird or something. I'm always like, hey, what's going on? Like, let's do something.
Yeah.
You know, you know what I mean? So,
so coming from, you know, out here on the prairies in Alberta or whatever, it's kind of smaller markets, but in Toronto, I've always kind of looked at Toronto and been a little bit envious for that. There are more guys doing it out there. There are more guys pushing that scene forward. But I was thinking about it a little bit more today, and like, maybe that's a double-edged sword, because you know, out here too, yeah, there's no competition, so you can kind of be one of the only guys doing it and people just know of you, right? Like, whereas in Toronto, it's got to be an ocean of people doing it. So I don't know, what do you think?
And it's what market you're going into, because that's another thing too. Like, the reason I stay away from the local stuff is a lot of the local stuff is trap now, where it's like younger guys doing all that, and I'm just not about that. You know what I mean? Like,
Word.
You know, if you're trap, if you're into all the lil pumps and all that, you're not gonna like my music. You know what I mean? And that's why I don't fit into most of those shows that I'm trying to get into, because they're gonna be like, who's that guy? You know, like, because my music's not bumping like that. Like, especially the new stuff is a lot more mellow. It's a lot, go through hell. You know what I mean? So like, you hear it on your speakers or whatever, you're gonna be bumping. But if you hear it on a show, you're gonna be like, you know what I mean? It's not really like, I have music like that I do perform at shows, but
that's the thing. I was just gonna say, man, I think all music has to have a place, right? And I feel like a lot of people kind of overlook that there needs to be a place for more somber music, for more chill music, for something to put on at the barbecue or whatever, right? Like when you're just hanging out, even when you're just driving around by yourself and want to be mellow, you got to have some of that music around too. So I feel like the mainstream kind of just gravitates towards the, like, what's bumping in a club, what's a party sound or whatever, and like, yeah.
And like, some songs like that. I did this song, I don't know, I think it was last year, at the beginning of last year. It's called Hate to Love Me, and I did it with a friend of mine who's a drum and bass producer.
Okay.
And he does times, and we're actually working on a project together. But that song is very up, you know, like, and girls loved it. All the girls were doing their little TikToks with the things, you know what I mean? Like, they all love that music, but so they all want that. So when they click on my songs and they hear Go Through Hell, they're like, I want that other, you know. But it's like, okay, I can't be doing that music all the time, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, life has both of those elements to it, right? It's not always up.
Exactly.
Dude, another thing I like to ask people, just to try to shine light while we're talking about kind of the local scene out there, is other artists who people should be checking for, who maybe they aren't. I mean, we've already talked about B1, and you know, people know some of the bigger names, but are there any up and coming guys who you think deserve some more credit that we can?
A person that I'm hugely inspired by, and that actually inspired a lot of this album, is Smitty, who's the third guy and the singer on the recipe.
Yeah.
And I met him because he did an album with a guy around here, Shy the Beat Yoda. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah.
And
he's a Calgary dude, isn't he? Or is he out in Toronto?
No, he's out here, yeah.
Okay.
But
yeah, I watch him on Twitch anyway. Shouts to Shy.
Yeah, and he works for Marco Polo and all those guys. Pretty good. And they did an album called Soul Powers. And I love that album. In the same way, I just reached out. I was like, Smitty, what's going on? Let's make something. And in a year, we've done like close to 10 songs. And he's completely dope. He's down in Atlanta, but he has this whole movement. He's super dope. There's also Les Zeppel. I don't know if you heard of him. He worked with Shy too, Guillotine Shark.
No, those are some new names to me, man. I love these because I always get to go find 5 more artists to follow from Canada so that I can play their music on ATSIC.
Les Epo, super dope. Who do we have on the album? Zace. I don't know if you heard of Zace.
Yeah, I've seen his name pop up on some tracks here and there, different people's songs, I feel like, yeah.
Old friend of mine. We're actually doing something for the album soon, too. Who else do I got here? There's so many, man. It's like we were saying before, right? It's just like there's so many people in the city that's like, you know, sometimes you forget who.
Yeah, man.
Who's...
Here, what else can I ask you? How about this one? Tips for the youths, man. How about what can you tell upcoming rappers that are out there? You know, maybe he's 19 years old and he wants to try to get his music heard by people, wants to try to get out there, open for shows, do whatever, get on the scene.
The main thing I can say, man, is just be yourself as much as you possibly can. Don't be afraid to be different, to be weird. You know what I mean? Because it takes a lot of guts to be different than a lot of people. You know, it's like when you don't stand out, cool, you know, but like it's harder pill for people to swallow when you're different. And so it makes people not want to be different. That's why you have all the people doing the same music or the same, you know what I mean, for years.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, like, be as fucking weird as you can and go out there, you know what I mean? Do your thing. Like, it doesn't matter who doesn't like it or whatever, it's gonna hit. And it's all those people that are so different that end up making it huge and that have this unique sound. And when you hear them, you know, like DMX, you know DMX's voice. You know Eminem's voice, because they have very unique voices, and that's what makes them special, you know what I mean? Like,
man.
And you have all
dude, I talk about that all the time, how for me to be a good MC, I need to be able to tell you apart on a record. I need to be able to hear your voice and know who I'm listening to
that guy,
a line or two in, right?
That's like, oh, that's when you have 5 guys on a song, and then it's like, who's that guy? Who, you know what I mean? Because they all sound the same, or you know what I mean? It's like, they're all do this.
Well, that's or why, like, they do the same flows, or they auto-tune themselves the same ways, they're singing melodies the same ways. I listen to a lot of music for ATSIC, man, and there's a lot of it that I can't tell guys apart, you know, or I'll hear it and I'll be like, this could be one of 10 different guys that I can think of, you know, like, and I genuinely can't tell until I look at my phone. Whereas if I'm just listening to the weekly Spotify list and you come up, or, you know, really any of the MCs I've been talking to for these interviews come up, I can recognize their voice, recognize their music. So yeah, I agree, man. Being unique and authentic to your own sound is important.
Yeah. We have there's another rapper, G Knight, that's actually an old school rapper, Juno nominated a long time ago. He is actually like one of the people that, you know, really schooled me on this music and really taught me how to rap, like my breathing, how to control my voice and all that. Like, really sat there and, you know, he believed in me, you know what I mean? And he noticed that when I would be rapping, I would always go higher. Yo, when I get it, and he'd be like, why do you rap high? And I was like, what do you? And I was so worried about my verse and I was so worried about my breathing that I wasn't worried about where my register said. And he's like, you talk low, rap. Like, what are you talking about? It made no sense to me. And then I tried it, and like I was saying, I was working on my sound, literally. And now that's what I find people like the most about me, is my voice, you know what I mean? Because I work with what I have. You know what I'm saying? You work with what you have. And my mind, not for everybody else, but that's you. And, you know, you have to work on it and making it more, you know, and better. So
yeah,
that's where it's at, man.
Dude,
man.
Sorry, what's that?
I appreciate the love, though, man. I can tell that you're one of those people that actually listen to music. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that just hear it, or they just want.
Dude, I make music myself, right? I'm a lyricist myself. So, like, for me, when I'm listening to rap, it's tough to have a conversation with people around me. If there's rap playing, it's tough to talk to people because I drift off into Buddy's lyrics. If it's good, if it's something that catches my ear or whatever, right? But I can't drive around and listen to Nas and have a conversation with somebody, right? So
you
yeah.
I can't hear you.
Yeah, sorry, what? But yo, dude, one thing that I've been asking everybody is, do you buy music? Because in 2022, I feel like we're in a weird space where people are willing to pay for art. They'll pay for streaming services. They'll pay for crafts at the farmer's market that they see. They'll support art that way. They'll hashtag support artists. But I don't think most people buy music ever. Like, right. And so I asked, do you buy music?
not gonna sit here and lie and say that I do.
Yeah.
I do buy music, but for me, it's gotta be special. It's gotta be like I need to own it.
Yeah.
You know, something that I've always wanted to get into is buying records, but they're fucking crazy expensive. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
I would love to actually support it and like keep it nice. You know what I mean? But like,
I'm jealous of the DJs that can do their shows with all vinyl, man. Yeah.
We shot the video that we shot yesterday was at a record store, and they had all the crazy like Doom, like all the crazy albums, and I'm like, this is how music should look like. This is, you know what I mean? Like what it's supposed to be like. But then $50, and it's like, man, I can't be buying no 50. You know what do you stop? Like what? How do you even choose one?
What's
you know
what's the name of the single that you guys were shooting the video for? Is it out yet?
It's not out yet. It's called Yet I Rise.
Okay.
And produced by Dano Bravo, the same guy that produced Go Through Hell.
Right.
And
is Dano Bravo, he's Toronto based too, or where's he at?
He's from Toronto, yeah.
Okay.
What I've gotten really into these days is producers.
Sure.
Because like I said, I used to, just how you said you're an MC, so you listen to rap.
Yeah.
Because I make beats, when I listen to beats, you know, I listen to like all the crazy stuff, right? Like I listen to all the little different things. So I don't listen to a lot of music. I literally go here and just go on SoundCloud, and I've discovered so many different amazing producers.
Yeah.
And I always try to give shine to all the people around me, all my friends and all that for beats. But it's like, you can only do that for so long. You know what I mean?
So are most of the beats you end up rapping on these days like by guys that you personally know, or are they internet connections you're making?
I would say about out of 10, it's about 7 that I know. Okay. But there are like people met on SoundCloud that did like, you know, I would say a total of like 3-4 songs on the. But other people like Dano Bravo, I know him through SoundCloud, but I actually know him now, and we're like good friends now. We share the same birthday, and we don't live far from each other. So kind of like, and ever since I met him, he's like me, where it's like, let's just work, keep working, and we've done so many songs. I guess he did, I want to say maybe half of the album here. So like,
okay, so shit. And I mean, B1 makes beats too, right?
B1 did makes beats too. He doesn't make a lot as he used to.
Okay,
but I think that's 1, maybe 2 beats on the album as well.
Okay, how about yourself? Did you self-produce anything on there?
No, I haven't produced anything for a long time, man. I'm saving that for when I retire from rapping.
Okay.
I'm never retired from music, but I'm not gonna be rapping forever. So
you picked up the pen and put down the MPC then.
You know, because it's there, and like I said, I see it, and I'm like jealous. I'm like, oh, I want to, but you can't. For me, I can't has anything. You know what I mean? Like I had to do it 100%. I barely have time to do anything.
Yeah,
so I don't want to be.
Dude, a lot of people ask me, like, how come you don't make beats, or why, you know, when I was working with other artists kind of on a day-to-day basis, a lot of guys would say, like, oh, I want to be able to make my own beats so that I can have my own signature sound. And I always just kind of thought, like, man, there are a million guys who make beats, and there are, like, a lot of them are really good, and a lot of those beats never get rapped on, you know?
And that's what I'm saying. Like before I was just looking in my own backyard or my own, because I want to support my people. But then once you start broadening your horizon, it's like, holy crap, there's a lot of amazing talent out there. You know what I mean? And it's like a lot of people are too. And it's like after doing everything, it comes down to one thing, and that's making music. That's what I love. You know what I mean? Shows, everything. That's all. You know. Something that happens after that, but without the music, we have nothing. So that's what I've been focusing on. You know what I mean? And everything else.
I relate to you a lot as an artist, Eddie. What you just said about like shows come after. Like shows are fun. I've had fun doing shows or whatever, but I tell people that all the time that like it's just not really what drives me to do it. You know, like, and sometimes I've even stepped back and been like, who am I trying to impress here? Like, why do I care if these fucking people want to cheer for me or not? Like,
when you have done shows, it's kind of like, oh, I want to do shows. But when you've done so many shows and people don't really care, and they're just walking by, you're just like, why am I pouring out my heart to these people? They don't even care. You know what I mean?
And you stress out about trying to sell tickets and stuff beforehand, and
man, it's like,
so I don't know, maybe I'm a studio artist or whatever, but that's a title that like sometimes they talk down about in hip hop or whatever. Right?
That's what we are. You know what I mean? That's why if you don't do one thing, you know, it's all about creating and having that end product and being able to listen to it after. You know what I mean? Like that's where it is. And you don't do that in shows. In shows, doing the same song.
Well, dude, that's what's going to make the mark that carries on down the line for your kid to listen to, right? For your kid to listen to, or for whoever else to listen to. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, the Rush is cool, being on stage or freestyling on a corner or whatever else. It's all fun and can be fun at a party. But ultimately, I feel like people got to get down to making the music and putting the music out to people, right? Just put it out there. So yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like what you've been doing, dude. Lots of singles leading up to albums. Do you have anything planned after this album? Are you already working on anything else, or?
I was actually working on an album for myself again, and before we started working on the on the album between B1 and I have beats collected for it and everything like that. It's gonna be something completely different than the B1 and I album because I don't want to do the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just hoping you keep making more music, man. Because honestly, like I want to keep doing these interviews. You know, next season, if you got another album coming out, I want to talk to you again about it. And just you know, we can get deeper and deeper into topics as we go, man. But it's nice talking to you. I do want to ask you one more question. What's the best way for people to support? If they like your music, or if they just like any independent artist music, make it general. What's the best way to support independent artists in 2022?
Whatever which way you like. Stream the music, share it, like it, subscribe, all that helps. You know, a lot of people don't understand like how much a couple clicks, a couple, you know, shared, like it helps a lot.
I was explaining the fire emojis, right? The reason that all the rappers go through and put fire emojis in each other's comments is it's just an algorithm manipulation thing, right? Like it's a little bit of a high five sometimes too, or whatever, but we all know that we're manipulating the algorithm and making it pop up on more people's feeds. So
that's what I'm saying. Like double click that screen, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't take that much. I get it. Make it out to the show. They don't want to buy an album, a shirt, whatever, but just double click on that screen, send it to someone, make a little comment.
Maybe it makes Instagram show it to somebody who will show up at the show or can make it.
If we were like, oh, you know, he's on crack or something, people would be like, hey, get better, you do it, but I'm making music and people are like, whatever.
Right? So, yeah, man. I post a picture of me and my wife standing in the sun and get fucking 40 likes on it, and it post your new song and you get 8 likes on it. And it's like, all right, I guess. Man, I should pack it up. But shit. Anyways, man. Dude, I appreciate you coming by to talk a lot. And looking forward to hearing the album. When's it come out? We didn't say.
Hoping August. It was supposed to be July, but you know, we got to make sure that the album is dope before. We're already putting out singles, I know, but
okay, so no set date yet. Okay.
No, well, I'll let you know. You'll be the first one, and I'm gonna, as soon as I have that final mix, you're gonna be the first one to send it to, man, because I respect your opinion. So
hey, dope, man. I'm looking forward to listening to it. And yeah, shouts out for sending over music. I appreciate that a lot. You know, I buy a lot of music, so it's nice when people send it over. I know we were joking about it the other day, but that's some real shit, man. That's real. I'm going broke, fucking 20 songs a week. So yeah,
$1.
Exactly. But I appreciate you, man. Thanks for doing this.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
All right,
respect, man.
Peace.
Peace.
Okay, so that was that. Everybody should check out Eddy Jones' music, B1 the Architect's music. They're both dope independently of one another. I was looking forward to talking to B1 also today, but that didn't go as planned. Sometimes things happen. That's all good. I understand. I'm asking people to do free interviews. And it's just about building community. So appreciate those guys that can make it by. I appreciate anybody who stops by to watch and takes part in the streams. These happen Tuesday afternoons most of the time over at twitch.tv/Doobyis. And so today was bumped to a different day. Sometimes they happen other days. If you hit follow over on Twitch, you'll know when I go live and you can catch it whenever it happens. Otherwise, there it is. After the Smoke is Clear is the name of my mix show. This month, actually, the beginning of June, the NCRA, the National Community and College Radio Association of Canada, declared that After the Smoke is Clear's second season was the best rap program in the country. So shouts to them for handing me that award and patting me on the back. That's always nice. And shouts to everybody who listened and, is helping me build ATSIC into what it is, which hopefully can be a community of artists who enjoy each other's music and support one another. And yeah, appreciate y'all for coming by. I will be back with another episode of After the Smoke is Clear next week.